Hello everyone and welcome to Diamonds of Craft, where I make things. My name is Sarah and I was invited by Valkitty's World at the end of last year to take part in a collab that took Disney princesses and made them D&D ready. If you've been watching me for a while now, you'll know that I do like to make D&D characters. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to do this, even though I am late to that collab, but better late than never. In this collab, we had his name is Akin, who did Aurora, Doliana, who did Cinderella, Doll Afterlife, who did Vanellope, Steph Udall, who did Rapunzel, Witchy Pink, who did Pocahontas, and Valkitty's World, who did Mulan. I will have all their videos linked below, just in case you haven't seen them already. Anywho, let's get into how I made her. I am using an Ever After High doll once again. That's twice in a row now. But this one has no hands and has a nice round face that would suit Merida. As usual, I prep her by cutting off her hair and removing the face with 99% acetone. I have this chunky red yarn I used in a project a long time ago. This will be perfect for Merida too. So I have to paint her scalp orange. Now, she is an obvious ranger, right? She uses a bow, is connected with nature and animals, a solid class choice for Merida. I also wanted her to have a classic D&D race, so I've made her into an elf. Reasoning being, she is born into nobility, and whilst most elves probably aren't, in this case I think it fits. I did give her elf ears that probably should have been longer, but her hair ended up so big you don't see them anyway. But I know they're there, and that's all that matters. Her hair is also going to be something special. Yarn in general keeps its shape really well, but this has a lot of volume too, which I associate heavily with Merida's hairstyle. I am just rooting the hairline because it's much easier than trying to shape glued wefts at the front. A technique I use frequently here on this channel. Now that's out of the way, I can do her face. I start by covering the hair I have rooted with a glove. Ridiculous, I know, but I never use fabric quite right and this was staying put. Then I can spray her with Mr. Super Clear. I know a lot of artists spray more than once to get started, but I tend to find I can at least get a sketch on one layer. I'm not trying to flex on that, I just don't want to wait usually. I do actually have a Merida doll. I got her in a bundle off eBay and she was wearing Snow and White's dress for some reason. I considered using that at first to be really authentic. But I do also want this character to shine through in my style, so I went with the Ever After High. On that doll though, her eyes are blue with a bit of green in them, so I thought, amazing, the people who made this doll know what they're on about. Then, when I finished with her face and googled her again, her eyes look much more blue than the official doll. There is a smidge of green in there, but not as much as I thought. Never mind, this was a new thing for me and I like it, so it stays. And I didn't want to redo her whole face because I did like it a lot. So I'm very sorry if the colour of her eyes upsets you. I think I like drawing on Ever After High faces the most. Don't get me wrong, the sculpts of Monster High are top tier, but every face I've done on an Ever After High doll are just super nice. I think it's the vast amount of space that makes it easier for me to draw, and I don't know, I think all of them come out super cute. I did add very fine freckles as well. To do that, I just watered down some paint and pop it on where I would like it for a few seconds, then blot it off with a cotton pad. You can flick the paint on it too, but whenever I do that, it just gets real messy real quick. There was a little bit of the reroute that was wonky up top. The original doll had a fringe, so I guess they didn't need to be too neat with that line. You can reroute a doll after the face is done, as long as you're super careful. I can now fill in the rest of her hair, and I use a mix of rerouting and just sticking wefts on for volume. I also really loved the texture of Merida's hair in the film, so I am replicating that by leaving some bits wavy and curling others. I'm not trying to be neat with it, we still want it to encapsulate the wild spirit that she has. And this time around, I was blessed with a visit from a very special guest. She doesn't usually jump up on my table like this. This is actually not my cat. She is my neighbor's cat who just loves hanging out with us and sitting on or near me whenever she can. Always at the most inopportune times, but that's just cats for you. She likes the scratches and checking the quality of the work that's going on here. So don't worry, everything is thoroughly inspected by the Cat Overlord. Though, once I realized she was going to hang out for ages, I found her a pillow and she did settle onto it. So on we go with the long process. I'm just taking very small pieces and curling them haphazardly. I think texture is key for this one. Hair always seems to take forever, whether it's rerouting or making wefts. It feels like a mammoth task has been completed when it's all done with. But her hair is now wild and free, and we can move on. I saw other artists printing their own fabrics, so it was time to give that a go. A couple of things you will absolutely need to know before trying this is 1. Get that paper stuck down. Seems obvious, right? Well, my other iron was not hot enough and it did not stick the fabric to the freezer paper, so it got all gobbled up in the printer, which was, you know, like just super fun to deal with. So make sure your iron is hot and stick it down well. Number 2, sort out your printer settings. It took me a couple of goes to get that right, to set it to the best quality and change the paper setting to something thicker. If it has one for fabric, then that's wonderful. Number 3, make sure you print it on the fabric side. I never know, so I have 2 sides printed. And lastly, I didn't do this, but I recommend treating the fabric too. There are ways to seal it in, and the print looks really great at first, but maybe it's just because mine's a laser printer, not an inkjet, but the pigment comes off really easy. It's a 6 out of 10 from me. Sounds great, is secretly a pain, but that's just my opinion. For the rest of her outfit, I could have gone for basically what she has on in the film, but this is a redesign, and we're going to make her outfit a little more practical. I've made her pants out of this padded jersey fabric, as padded armor is a thing in D&D. I did research what kind of protection archers have. The hand and finger guards are good, but they're a bit small for me here. So she has this shoulder part that goes across the body. I gave her more shoulder armor on the other side, and we're going with one across the middle too. Rangers typically have lighter armor, so this works for me. I want her top to look like the Disney part of the design. So I cut up this random... That says ribbon, Sarah. Not random. So I cut up this ribbon to add to her sleeves and collar. I put the armor back on just to check it all fits. Then the printed fabric is the family tartan, which needs to be on there somewhere, so it's like a half kilt. totally forgot about the fancy Celtic patterns she has on her dress. So they were cut on the Cricut, and I'm giving her a half skirt out of the same fabric her top is made from. Just got to fit and fix that middle part to hide all the raw edges. And this belt will have more added to it. She needs shoes, a bow, and some hands. I modelled the shoe bases in Blender along with a basic bow shape. And I bought some replacement Monster High hands online. Using my Elegoo Saturn 4 Ultra, I printed all of them flawlessly. As you can tell by my high quality phone footage there. And as gorgeous as these hands look, I don't think they're meant for resin prints. Well, not the little pegs, at least. But I'm starting with the shoes. If you've been with me a while, you'll know I hate making shoes. So it's sock shapes and glue. The shoe bases are a bit off. A bit small, not quite angled right, but it's only a first go. We add embellishments to distract from the lumps and bumps. I would have tried to model the pattern carved into a bow. I'm just not that good at modeling yet. However, I did add holes to the model so I could actually string this bow. She also needs more stuff, so I made her a bag and added rivets onto things. I do think that gives it more of a finished look. I also added the little emblem to her bag and shoes and to the top of her bow. Next is arrows and a quiver. The arrows are just cocktail sticks cut and sanded. And the quiver was a basic pouch for them. An emblem needs to be on the quiver pouch as well, or it just won't fit well. Looks very cohesive to me. Now I can add those to the belt and fix that in place with some glue. To finish the arrows, I paint the tips and the ends, add some feathers, fill in some parts I missed, and then they're ready to go. Finally, just to paint her hands. Cat painted a base of pink under gold recently, and to be honest, I painted some hands and they seemed to be lacking something. The pink base was a good shout. I blush the knuckles and add some dark parts very blurrily. And that's her all finished. And here she is, all finished. I really love this collab idea. I think taking characters from other media and thinking about what they would be like in a D&D setting is just really cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed my choice for Merida. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Remember not to be a dick about it. And if you like the video, subscribe and ring the bell and, you know, all that good stuff. If not, it's okay. And remember, if you haven't checked out everyone else's videos, do so. They're really, really good. I will be posting more pictures of it on Instagram, so go follow me there. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for staying till the end. I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Oh, Merida, I've got to change your fate. Merida, get a fucking job. Instead of following around forest spirits like a ginger strumpet.
Ginger strumpet.